It's a little different today because we're obviously not in the studio. Nabil's at home. I'm away. So we're doing an episode on live, but welcome back to the channel, everybody. We're doing a live stream, as you guys can see. And for those that don't catch the live stream, well, we did a live stream and now you're watching the episode. So welcome back. My name's Sahib. On the side of the screen with me is Nabil. And we're here to talk about everything from round 2 of the 2026 season, the fallout. A lot of hot topics this week. A lot of crazy things has happened. And we're excited to get all of that underway. But first, as always, Nabil,
don't forget, like, share, subscribe. I think I'll put a banner or a media out there, something there. There we go.
Somewhere,
there you
absolutely.
go. Like, subscribe. We'll throw in the share as well. So we appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating.
Absolutely. And where do we want to start, Nabil?
As always, we start with the big Navy Blues. We had the bye. Yep. We had a chance to reset, refresh. Some positive injury news coming out of the bye. I really want to touch on one of my favorite players. Nick Newman did his ACL last year, then got suspended in the VFL. He's finally available. Very, very excited for him. He'll provide some much-needed structure in our back line. Hopefully Michael Voss picks him, and I would expect Michael Voss to pick him. So big injury news on that front, as well as another player that we don't talk about often. Carlton supporters know him. His name is Matt Cottrell.
Yes.
He'd been injured.
He made a bit of a name for himself early on.
He did. His passion, and he was compared to Mitch Robinson at the very start of his career. But he's finally injury-free. He's available. Absolutely. He's not a great kick, but he's a great runner, and our team badly needs runners. So, Matty Cottrell, Nick Newman. There's also Nick Haynes, who was solid last year, so he'll be back. So, on the injury front, Adam Sard's another one. He's back. Hamstring. So, look, hopefully he provides that much-needed running and dash off half back. So, Sard, Haynes, Cottrell. And I think there's also Billy Wilson. I don't know if he'll get a game, though. So, some star players coming back. I don't know if you call them stars. But
I mean, hopefully it can also help Carlton's game plan a bit because, as we always know, once you guys start getting smashed in the middle, it's done for. So maybe some rebound and some efficient rebound from back 50 can help run the game out for you guys.
It can certainly help badly. We desperately need that, and we know we need that. Melbourne, this new look Melbourne team, we're playing Melbourne on Sunday afternoon at the MCG. Melbourne are a hard-running team. They are fast. This new look Melbourne team is all about pace. So I don't know how we're going to match them. Melbourne with Simon Goodwin, very, very different. But Melbourne now with this Stephen King, very, very different.
Absolutely.
Funny enough, for our tipsters out there, our record against Melbourne, last 5 games, we've won 4 of our last 5 against Melbourne. So I am confident. I'm very, very confident we'll belt Melbourne by 10 goals.
So, Nabil, you're tipping Carlton this week and you're sticking by it.
Carlton by 10 goals. I'm going early on the tipping segment. We'll have the tipping segment a little bit later on. So that's pretty much it for me on the Carlton segment. Only other thing is shout out to my boy, Jagger Smith. Shout out.
You've been waiting for this one, haven't you?
It was only a matter of time. He should have got it in the opening round. I think they gave it to him with the first available opportunity. This man's about to become a Brownlow medalist and a rising star in his first year.
So, I mean, I don't know about Brownlow medalist. Whoa. Hold on. Hold your horses. I don't know about Brownlow medalist. Very likely a rising star. I don't know about Brownlow medalist. Let's not jump too many guns here.
There's not going to be many Carlton players that will take votes off him. So, Jagger Smith, shout out Jagger Smith.
You're telling us Carlton are rubbish. That's basically what you're telling us, right?
I would never say that. I would never ever say Carlton Football Club is rubbish.
You don't need to say it. You can just imply it by your words.
Never say that. So,
nah, fair enough. Nah, hopefully.
Absolutely right.
Listen, it's part of the Carlton DNA at this point, so we can't even be surprised, honestly. But moving on from the Blues, as always, we have to also touch on the Pies. And obviously, both the Blues and the Pies had a bye this weekend, so there hasn't been a heat that's come out of the weekend for Collingwood. Some big news out of Collingwood, obviously, as everybody would know by now. Bobby Hill's back at the club training.
He's back.
He absolutely is, and he hasn't been back at the club since early January. So it's great to see him back. It's great to see him training. It's great to see that, hopefully he's, back on the straight and narrow more so, and he's able to, put in a massive block of training over the next couple of months, and even by mid-year be ready to roll out, hopefully. So big news there. The other big news going from
there at the training session as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. So that was big news. The other not so big news, and I think probably a waste of time for everybody, including the tribunal. But Scott Pendlebury is obviously free to play this week.
He is.
He got reported and was handed a 1-match suspension, as we all know, for the first time in his 427 games of AFL football. But we all knew he was going to get off, so I don't know why. The match review panel, the tribunal, a lot of them wasted their time.
I'll pose you a question. If he didn't have a good record, do you think he should have got off? If we judge the action itself.
Do you want me to give you the biased response or the logical response? Which response do you want?
Whatever you like.
I think he should have got off regardless, to be honest. Good man, whatever the hell they call that Scott Pendlebury rule they have, or not. He probably should have gotten off because, listen, obviously high bumps and all that kind of things are a serious thing now, and obviously they're trying to look after players and their health and well-being. But again, it's a contact sport. I think we've spoken about this in the past as well, and we'll continue to always speak about it. There's bound to be little bumps and bruises that take place. Yes, sometimes, unfortunately, it's to the head and they can cause concussions and whatnot.
Yeah.
But with no offense to ballet, you did not sign up to do ballet. You signed up to play football. So, those things are expected. If it's intentional, by all means, rub them out for the whole season. If it's not intentional and players, naturally, in the natural state of their bodies, happen to, run into these situations, we can't penalize them for that. So, he should have got off, and he did anyway. Because of the good man clause or good player clause or whatever it's called. So that's great news. Obviously over the bye, we found out that Howe and Moore will be assessed this week, leading into the Giants game.
That's big news. That is big news.
For a defense, more or less, that's been holding up, I'll be honest. That is very big news. So we have held up. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, we got absolutely decimated by Adelaide's Twin Towers or three-headed monster, whatever you want to call it. Either both of them, preferably, but one of them is cleared and is able to return back to play. The Giants have a couple of forwards as well. They're also injury-riddled at the moment, so it's not too bad. Howe and Moore have progressed very well in their rehab programs and recovering from their injuries, and hopefully they're good to go for this weekend.
Always the bye has helped them, so
absolutely. But coming out of the bye, I think that's the most, if not all, the news we have in Collingwood.
Before we rush off, I've got one thing. I can see a dot point you mentioned about Collingwood forwards. We've posted a couple of clips on those Collingwood forwards on TikTok and Instagram, and the comments have been quite controversial. Give us your thoughts on the Collingwood forward line in a minute.
I think, honestly, they've tried this, for 3 weeks now, or for 2 weeks, Collingwood. The Membry, McStay, and Buller forward line. I think it hasn't worked so far, and I think if we played that same forward line this week and it doesn't work, then there's some serious worries. I personally think play the kids, bring in Charlie West, send out Membry out of the three if I was to send out. Considering between Membry, McStay, and Buller, they kicked 1 goal against Adelaide. I think it's time that you give the kids a chance. At least that way we can justify 1 goal being kicked by a kid in comparison to a bunch of veterans. And Buller's a kid still, obviously, but between McStay and Membry, I think they should have done a lot better, and they didn't.
You get a better return out of Charlie West. There's no harm in playing Charlie
exactly,
West.
And you put in some games and experience into him. So I don't think
good value.
Yeah, practically. To sum it all up, I can give Charlie West a run, and hell, drop any one of those guys. Maybe not Buller again because he's also young and developing, and he probably needs the time. But Membry and McStay, take your pick. drop one of them and play Charlie West. Is my opinion on Collingwood forward line issues. So yeah, that's that.
Awesome. No. Very happy with that. I'll certainly play Charlie West as well if I was Craig McRae. Unfortunately, I'm not.
So yeah, we'll see how we go Friday night against GWS, but we'll definitely have a little bit more of a chat about that game later on during our tipping segment. Now it's time for
we're watching now. Top team, flop team of the week. Massive segment. My favorite segment. I'm going to start with my top team.
Let's get it.
And it is
your top team of the week.
Eagles. They are flying high.
They are flying high, surely.
No one in the country rated them last week. I know a few of our tipsters in our tipping competition tipped them, but the West Coast Eagles, they won at home. They're always pretty good at home. Historically, last week, they turned it around, massive 10-goal turnaround after North were up by 30 points. Shout out to one of those wily veterans, Elliot Yeo. He had a day out, kicked a beauty from the boundary. And
he's been injury riddled, and the things he's managed to do.
Very, very good. And they're playing a bunch of kids. They're getting games into these kids. They can sort of hopefully become something. So West Coast Eagles for me, my top team, and your top team, Sahay.
Before I give you my top team, I'm actually low-key mad about that West Coast game because I tried to change my tip from North to West Coast in the last minute before the game started, and it wouldn't let me. And when I refreshed it had already locked in North Melbourne as my tip. So when North Melbourne were up and early in the game, I was like, okay, maybe North Melbourne was the choice to make. But then when I saw West Coast come back, I'm just like, damn. If only I was able to change this tip. But yeah, that was just something interesting from my point of view from the weekend. My top team of the week are the Hawthorn Hawks. A team you've spent a lot of time shitting on the bill and hating on, and
I have
disapproving, to be completely honest.
Look, they dominated. They played really well against the Swans at the end.
And not being the biggest fan of, to say the least. But yeah, my top team of the week is Hawthorn. I think the way they played against Sydney, what we thought was a non-existent midfield actually showed up. What's his name? John Newcomb. Yeah, Cam McKenzie, Connor McDonald. There's one player in particular that I do want to mention. Yeah, I've been calling him Mr. Benjamin Button the whole weekend and the whole week leading into today's episode. His name is Jack Gunston. He's a 34-year-old gun forward who's winding back the clock like it's 2016 all over again. Because how is he single-handedly destroying Sydney's defense, along with who I also called Harry Potter's cousin, the wizard Nick Watson.
How good is he? The wizard.
The two of those boys together, unbelievable. And Jack Gunston, honestly, he was the best and fairest All-Australian. I think he kicked 60-plus goals or something like that last year. And we all thought he's done and dusted.
He came back from Brisbane. Surprisingly, found his way to Hawthorn.
Almost thought his career was over at that point. And what is it, 3 or 4 seasons later now, he's probably one of the most dominant forwards here. Well, he was one of the most dominant forwards last year. And this year he's, already kicked 12 goals in 3 or 4 games or whatever it's been almost. So, yeah, Hawks played well. The defense held up. Barras, big Tommy Barras.
Yeah.
Get him a meat trade.
Jonah can't play against big forwards and Barras battle.
But yeah, Hawthorn, their defense held up very well. Their forwards clicked. I don't know how I feel about the two ruckmen playing in the one team for them.
It's working. So
it's working at the moment, but I don't know how I feel about it. But nonetheless, you know what they say: if it's not broken, don't fix it. So it's working great for them, and yeah, that makes them my top team of the week. And your flop team of the week?
My flop team is the Essendon Bombers. I think they were my flop team last week. They are my flop team of the week again. What is going on at Essendon?
The EssenDONE DUSTED team.
They can't defend. Their pressure rating has been abysmal.
Brother, they can't defend is one thing. What they can't defend is one thing. They cannot play football at the moment, okay? Don't worry about the defending part alone. They cannot play football, and it's embarrassing, to say the least.
It is embarrassing. I've been a Carlton fan of some very, very horrible Carlton teams. And the one thing, if I was an Essendon supporter, the one thing I can't tolerate is lack of effort. And there was no effort. You can have the worst 23 footballers in the competition.
Yeah.
effort is a non-negotiable. Did not see that.
I agree.
So
I 110% agree, and that's exactly what the problem Essendon been having and are still having, and will probably continue having is if they don't sort it out sooner rather than later, and that is their players. And I think we spoke about this last week. We're probably going to talk about it after this as well because I've genuinely never seen a team dominate the headlines for being so shit and useless on a football field like Essendon have over the last. Well, it's only the beginning of the season, but
awful.
I genuinely haven't seen it this bad for a while. Even when West Coast were down and out, even North, even
this is bad. This is ugly.
This is not looking good. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about Essendon a little more later on. So they're your flop team of the week, and my flop team of the week, the GWS Giants. The tsunami that's right now looking like a puddle splash because I don't know what the hell they dished up on the weekend. And to be fair, I don't think anybody gave St Kilda a chance to beat the Giants.
The Giants at home? No chance.
At home. So the Giants were rubbish on the weekend. And yeah, I know they have a lot of injuries and they've been horrible, but it's just their game style and I think Adam Kingsley was also going off in the box again this week. Their lack of effort.
He was going off against Toby Green, going off because he had Toby Green had an opportunity to make a good decision. He had 3 or 4 players inside 50 and decided.
And he made a horrible decision.
So
yeah. So I don't know what's going on with GWS, but I'll be honest with you, it's not looking good for them. And we called them pretenders during the off season or during the preseason.
They just keep teasing us as football fans. They deliver and then they don't deliver, and you're like,
well,
this talent's team.
They somehow beat Hawthorn in the first game of the year. Then they came down to Melbourne and got plastered by Doggies, which at this point I'm thinking is just the Doggies stadium trading session because every time they play GWS at Marvel, they plaster them. So I don't even know what you want to call this anymore. And then on the weekend they got outplayed by St Kilda, and to be completely honest with you, their inaccuracy didn't help them as well. It's not like they didn't have opportunities, like you said with that Toby Green situation, and why Adam Kingsley got angry or pissed off at it was their decision making was just horrendous. Their inefficiency, their disposal efficiency was you're not going to really win games.
Cut you up, man.
Absolutely. You're not going to win games that way. So yeah, that makes them my flop team of the week. There's a lot that happened this weekend, even a lot of topics that we kind of, thought about and said we definitely have to have a chat about these. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Essendon? Do we want to start with opening round? Where do we want to start?
Let's start with Essendon.
Shit, let's go.
Yeah, I know we want to talk about opening round, but
I have no problem shitting on Essendon.
I don't know what's going. Look, there's a lot of Essendon fans, and I watch a lot of Essendon fan TV. Because it's interesting how watching there's a massive disconnect between the fans and the club.
Yep.
There's a massive contingent of Essendon fans that are in the bring James Hird back. I'll
be honest with you, I don't really understand that. Why do they want James Hird back?
Because they love a legend of the club, Essendon. They're a very old boys sort of club. They love their legends. They love James Hird. They don't appreciate what they did, but they're a big fan of wanting him to come back. There's also a lot of old boys in their network and on their board, and they really want someone.
Andrew Walsh was their president. And he was an excellent player.
Dean Solomon's assistant coach was on the board.
Yep.
Brad Scott isn't an Essendon person. He's not from within. So, yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I think the first mistake they made was bringing Brad Scott on as a coach.
Wow. So you're saying 4 years later, Brad Scott was a failure?
Well, respectfully, if we look at Brad Scott's coaching record, it ain't that great, bro. I'll be honest with you.
It's the worst. I think the worst in the competition. By far.
Well, there you go.
When he was at North Melbourne, 71 games.
Ridiculous. When he was at North Melbourne, they were dog shit and they were horrible. They didn't really succeed much. He's come to Essendon. He's 4 years in, and it's almost like they've been going backwards for 4 years instead of forward.
Yeah, I don't get his comments in the press conference about culture and
come on.
And a whole bunch of other things. At the end of the day, you've had this list for 4 years. You've had this team. You've coached this team for 4 years. You've got no excuse to blame anyone other than yourself for the Essendon that is today. It's not your first year. It's not your second year. You're 4 years.
You hearing this, Brad Scott? You hearing this shit? You hearing this shit?
So don't blame the players. Don't blame the culture. Take accountability.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's where I'd say the first mistake Essendon made are, and low key, I think they should cut their losses at this point and just either just accept that they're going to have a dog shit season this year and get rid of Brad Scott at the end of the year and start looking for a fresh start, or they get rid of him now and just accept that this year is going to be shambles anyway, and then, you know, see what they can do for the future. But yeah, on top of that, like, their lack of effort in games is what's causing a lot of this. We spoke about it last week. Their leaders, or their supposed leaders, I'm gonna say leaders, because if you're a leader, that's my point. So their leaders and their lack of effort, I don't know. Now, I've been saying this whole time that the whole Zach Merritt saga didn't really have an effect on Essendon, isn't really an issue. Is it now becoming an issue?
I think so. I don't know.
Is it now becoming a situation?
He read the writing on the wall. The other thing I want to touch on with Essendon is, and maybe we can sort of wrap up Essendon on this point, is there was talk of Essendon not being a Big Four. I think Jack Revolt said it on the couch last week. He said Essendon's not a Big Four club. What are your thoughts there? I'll give you my thoughts. I think go on. Here's
the thing. From a football point of view, I agree. I think they're rubbish, and they've been rubbish for too long to be... You know almost what they remind me of, and I'm going to make this comparison because it is what it is. In the EPL, they have a big six, right?
Yeah.
And the sixth team on that list is Tottenham. Now, Tottenham have been dog shit for a very long time, minus the European trophy they won last year. They've been dog shit for a long time. People don't actually consider them a top six team anymore because they do not perform like a team or a top six team. I think it's the same thing with Essendon almost. They've been called a Big Four club because they're Victorian based. They have a large fan. They have a large following.
They're a Big Four club. Listen, there's one of our users.
Football-wise, I don't think they are.
No, I think you mean they're definitely the Big Four club. They're definitely a Big Four club.
In terms of following and marketing, sure. I don't think in terms of...
It's definitely a Big Four club, but I think they are a Big Four club.
I'll definitely be honest. I don't think in terms of actual playing football and being good at it, I don't think they're a top four club. In terms of maybe following and marketing and the noise that they can bring with them, sure, maybe they're a Big Four club based on, I guess you can say, business and social environments. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't think Essendon's a Big Four club when it comes to actually playing football.
Got one of our comments when you referenced EPL from one of our mates and mentioned Arsenal. He said you already would say Arsenal, so
hey, shit.
No comment on Arsenal.
I have a comparison for Arsenal too, but we'll leave that for another time.
Where would you like to go next? I know there's a few.
I have an issue with opening round, and I've been having an issue with it for a long time.
Talk to us.
And I've been saying it's rubbish. And every year that they play this opening round situation, or they happen to have this opening round situation, it's getting worse and worse. So a few things. The first thing is opening round happens technically a week before when the original season used to start, right? Which is second week of March. Now it starts first week of March. Now, the problem with that is you have a certain amount of teams playing that first week or the opening round week, and you have the rest of the competition sitting on their backside just watching that and not really having anything to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Now, what follows or entails that over the next couple of weeks, which is round 1, round 2, round 3, all the way to about round 5, is you don't get a full week where all 9 games are being played, or all 18 teams are playing. There's a bunch of buys. So let's say Collingwood and Carlton played opening round. Collingwood and Carlton both had a bye this week. Geelong had a bye this week. Brisbane had a bye this week. So 3 massive teams and the reigning premier from last year have a bye 2 weeks into the season. Now, round 3 is coming up. The same thing. There's about 3 or 4 teams that have a bye. Round 1, I don't see the point in playing opening round. And for the first month of footy, we don't get an actual full round of footy of 9 games.
We don't.
And I think it's almost low-key affecting how teams are playing, how fans feel. And
doesn't it mean we get more footy across more weekends? There's more
games not really. Like, I don't.
You get footy season from the start of that March now to the end of October. You get more footy.
I get that, but maybe you're not getting that much footy because for the guys that play an opening round, they give them buys, which means they don't play the game that they're supposed to play during the season because of opening round. So you're probably getting the same amount of footy. It's just now being almost scattered or stretched out over a longer period of time, if that makes sense. Which I don't necessarily think is a good thing, nor is it fun because I'll be honest with you, Sunday's games this week were rubbish. Port Adelaide versus Essendon, and North versus West Coast, even though the game itself, the North and West Coast game, actually turned out to be a decent game. Like, it was like when you looked at that fixture, you're just like, oh, it's a bunch of dead rubbers on a Sunday. So, like, it doesn't really help when the opening round happens, and then you don't get a.
What's your solution? What's your solution to opening round?
Scrap the shit. Get rid of it. Well, how do you the whole point of opening round?
How do you grow the game in the Northern States? The AFL clearly want to grow the game in the Northern States. They've come to you with the problem. Give me a solution in 30 seconds.
Well, the whole point of playing these in the Northern States or the Northeast states, which is Queensland, New South Wales now, is to grow the game there. Play it in the middle of the season when it's dead and quiet and there isn't a heap of things happening. Pick a round, even if it's 2 rounds or even if it's over 2 rounds. Give it to Queensland and New South Wales. Yeah, well, exactly. How much do people get around gather round? How much do people enjoy it? How much are people like, I can't wait to get down to Adelaide? You do opening round at the beginning of the season. There might be a handful of people that are excited to head down out of state or travel to go to the season. But gather round happens a month in or 6 weeks into the season. The whole country is going down there to watch and be a part of the whole spectacle. So
you reckon do a gather round type thing in the Northern States, Queensland or Sydney? That could work.
Middle of the season, towards the end of the season, August, when there isn't a heap happening and,
Footy festival in Queensland could work. Weather's good.
Exactly. And we're waiting for almost finals to start. Include something interesting then and play. That's what I think. So, all in all, get rid of gather round. Cancel that shit and get rid of it. We don't want to see it anymore. I can say just about most clubs and most teams are done with it. So, let's get rid of it and let's try and, improve the situation around how we can grow the game in the northern and eastern side.
Go. It's done. Cancelled.
Yep, that's it.
All right.
Gather round's got to go.
Tasmania.
Yes.
And the island.
The Devils are in town.
Yes. I just want to touch on this. I've been itching to talk about it all season last year. Tassie. They're getting their stadium. It's scheduled now to be built in 2031. Your boy Nick Dacos did a tour down there.
Can I just say something about that now that you mentioned it? The AFL media and the world around broadcasting news from the sport is by far the most out of touch with reality shit I've ever seen in my life, right? Because
it doesn't help we took a photo with the head of Tasmania. Like, was it the general?
Brother, let's be honest. The Dacos family was down there apparently from what it seems like.
They were scoping out what it's like for Nick to live there.
Okay, and I'm going to pose a question to you that you've put here. Who on earth wants to go to Tasmania to play there?
No one under the age of 28. Respectfully, I love Tassie, but with the greatest of respect, they are going to struggle to find star young players born and bred in Melbourne and Sydney to move out there. Yes, there's not much to do there. At least they really like the outdoors and they're a Jeremy Cameron type. And ain't shit to do there, bro. Respectfully.
And you're speaking this from experience, right? You lived in Tasmania for a couple of years.
I was there for 18 months.
And what was it like for you? If you want to quickly just give us an overview.
Tasmanians are going to hate on me, but it was a lovely state. But if you're a young person, there's just not much to do unless you like the outdoors. So I struggle to see a young person who wants to go to the Grand Prix, who wants to go to all these influencer events or whatever it might be.
Come to the MCG and play your football there.
That's going to be Tasmanian struggle. But speaking of Tasmania, I do want to give a shout out. There's a man by the name of Mark Brown. A lot of AFL people won't be familiar with him, but Everyone in Tassie knows this guy by name, Mark Brown. He led the charge for Tasmania to have an AFL team. He led the charge for Tasmania to get their stadium. He dedicated his life for 3 years or 3 or 4 years since I was there, since 2023, to lead the charge for Tassie to get a team. They got a team. So shout out, Mark Brown. I'm happy for you. You got your stadium, you got your team, and well done. So look, I think he's going to go down in Tasmanian Football Club history. Mark Brown,
absolutely,
because of his work. So shout out to him. But that doesn't change my views on Tasmania. Ain't shit to do there. Nobody's going there.
And speaking of Tasmania, they obviously played their first game on the weekend, and they won by 17 points against a outer city Melbourne team, which is Coburg, in the VFL. They played pretty well. I don't know how much of the game you watched or you tuned into, but they played pretty well. A couple of ex-AFL players, Jai Menzie was out there. Ex-Essendon player. Geordie Payne, Siggins, former Adelaide player as well. So there's a couple of boys out there. Unfortunately, their captain, Robbie Fox, was injured and couldn't play. They had their first official hit out, historic win, historic day for them, and a pretty strong crowd at North Hobart Oval as well.
Yeah, so I think they sold out North Hobart Oval. They got over 11,000.
10,634 to be exact.
There you go. So, look, I think their fans will turn up. I think they'll have no issue with... I know I've hated on Tasmania in the first half of this part, but I think they'll have no issues with fans coming up. Their stadium is expected to be 23,000. They'll sell that out most weeks. Tasmanians love their footy and they'll show up. So, I have no concerns for the viability of AFL footy in Tasmania. It certainly has a future there. It's just about whether they can keep young players. But, look, they're a successful club and you'll be a big name in Tassie and you'll be sort of celebrated and loved by everyone. If you're in that Tassie Devils team, the state got behind the Jack Jumpers as well.
So absolutely.
Those are my thoughts on Tassie.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a quick question for you, and you can quick fire this back at me. If you're Nick Dacos and they offer you $5 million as a signing bonus to whatever ridiculous sized contract they will give you if you go up there, would you take it?
No, I wouldn't, because you make more in endorsements. In Melbourne, you will get a bigger name. You're playing for the biggest club in the land. I don't think there's any benefit. No, I don't think what Nick Dacos can achieve and what he could be a part of. Even if Collingwood remain a bottom 4 team for the rest of his career, I think he'll have a greater place in his history, in Collingwood's history, than if he moved down to Tassie. I guess unless he becomes the first captain and leads Tasmania to the first premiership. But
let's be honest, you're definitely not wrong about that, and that is a long way away for them. Even if we match that up against the most recent expansion teams of GWS and Gold Coast, so that is a long way away. Nick Dacos might not even be playing AFL football by the time Tasmania.
They don't get the new stadium until 2031, and
there you go.
And Belrive and the one in Launceston, they're not great grounds to play at. So
absolutely.
Without a new roof stadium, you'd be struggling. You don't want to. I can't imagine too many footy players would want to play there anyway. Just quickly, last thing before we sort of move on. Pat Voss,
the prancing pony, Patrick Voss. Talk to me about him. Talk to me about him.
Harrison Petty. He touched his
the arms are flying. He's WWE people. He's throwing people over the top rope. Everything's happening. Talk to me about Patrick Voss.
So you could give us the background on Harrison Petty. I'll talk about what he did. First of all, he rubbed his ball spot.
Hey, I don't think that's the first time that's happened to Harrison Petty now. No. It's kind of been a bit of a recurring thing, even with jokes within players and within shit talking. But yeah, Patrick Voss had a bit of a back and forth, or what? Not even a back and forth, just a bit of shit that he had to spill out to Harrison Petty, and he got fined for it for disorderly conduct.
I don't like it. These guys are.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. I don't like what Patrick Voss did, but it doesn't.
Oh, you don't like what Patrick Voss did? I thought you meant you didn't like the sanction he got.
I don't think he should have been fined.
He shouldn't have been fined?
He should not have been fined.
Oh, interesting. Why do you say that? I'm interested to know now.
They're football players with a bunch of testosterone playing AFL footy. Come on, bro. We're still making we not crack jokes.
I mean, shit, you're not wrong. I'll be honest with you, but
it's not a tasteful joke. I wouldn't crack it. It's not tasteful.
I agree.
It's not tasteful, but you can't be punishing players for, I don't know, cracking jokes. Like,
I mean, shit. Listen, you're not wrong. But also in saying that, I think there's a difference between jokes and taunting almost. And, you know, if people are kind of bringing up personal things on the football field to talk shit to others, like, hey, I'll like mow you down and like, you know, when's the last time you touched the ball? Shit like that, you know.
We can't tell the players you can say this, you can't say this. I mean, I get it. There's certain things, of course, off limits, but
yeah,
wanting a player,
like bringing in family members and, you know, people with, you know, certain circumstances are going on. Like, there's certain things I think any normal person would even understand. Yeah, the sport is sport, but like, you can't drag in certain things, you know. I mean, shit, if someone steals someone's girlfriend, sure, you can have a go at a player for that, but, you know, I think a little more sense. I think that's where the issue was genuinely, because Patrick Voss in the same game turned into Prime Undertaker and it was throwing Ed Langdon over the boundary line like it was the Royal Rumble match.
That was so disrespectful to Ed Langdon.
But they laughed it off. That's what I'm saying. He picked him up and he like just walked over the boundary line like he was just carrying a child on his shoulders. So it was all in good faith and they all had a laugh about that. But obviously the Harrison Petty stuff clearly crossed some line, some unofficially drawn line, let's just say, or unspoken of line that the AFL obviously had to sanction him for.
Zorko did it last time and he apologized.
Yeah. Zorko did it 2 years after him. Ainsworth did it from the same team from Brisbane. So Patrick Voss this is 3 times in 3 years now, or in 4 years, that the same thing has happened to Harrison Petty. I mean, Harrison Petty, my boy, I hope all is good with you. But I don't know why these fellas are coming after you, bro. All I'm saying is, hey, hopefully all good and well for you. Now, a whole heap of star players, honestly, low key, high key, whatever you want to call it, did hammies. About 4 or 5 or 6 almost players did hammies.
The biggest one was Connor Rozee. He's out for 3 months, approximately 3 months.
And we thought Goulden was a big loss for Sydney last week. This might be a bigger loss for Port, who right now are struggling, are in the mud. And Connor Rozee being injured is almost leaving Zach Butters as the only like real A-grade midfielder in that midfield, because Jason Horne-Francis hasn't really lived up to shit this season specifically. He obviously needs to lift as well. But yeah, Connor Rozee got injured. He's out for 3 months. And Christian Petrarca.
Petrarca was a big loss, so he was in Brownlow form as well. There was some talk about that. What is it? It might be the game is speeding up. A lot of players are getting injured. Hamstrings.
Fair amount of hamstring injuries, soft tissues.
Hamstrings.
Callum Archie from Adelaide, Tom Lynch, Toby Nankirk. So a heap of stars got injured, but not only got injured, they all did their hammies. And all these games were, I think, within the same 24 hours almost.
Yeah, pretty much. It is something to watch if the game continues to speed up, whether they look back at this at the end of the season. But yeah, a lot of hammies is certainly concerning, whether it's players training, whether it's the game or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
First live stream as well, doesn't it?
It does. It sure does. It's been fun. We've had a lot of time on here, and yeah, I guess we'll just wrap it up there for this week.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.
Tell them.
Like,
absolutely.
Share,
we'll see you guys before we leave them. Do we want to tell them that this is probably going to happen next week as well? Or
we're back next week. We're back the week after. We're back for a few weeks. We're also coming out to Adelaide for Gather Round. So there'll be more on our socials. Keep an eye out, but we'll be heading down to Gather Round.
Absolutely.
Plenty of content for Gather Round coming as well. So
absolutely. So yeah, looking forward to Gather Round. We'll be down there with a couple of our boys as well. But yeah, with that and in saying that, take care, guys. We'll see you guys all next week. Ciao.